what are the top factors that are taken into account when you're going through the application screening process? Do you accept portfolio work? What makes a student's portfolio stand out if you do accept a portfolio? What are the top things that you're looking for? Let's start with Chad.
We don't actually require a portfolio. We only do for our digital arts program. Everything else, there's a supplement we ask for depending what major you're applying. So for a film major, you're going to have to make a 2-minute video. So that's what we base all of our decisions on.
And I believe that's a video that's about yourself.
So it's a 2-minute video. Basically, tell us about yourself in 2 minutes, but you're not allowed to make a video. It's kind of the prompt you're given, and however you want to take that. So that really kind of serves as the best place for us to really kind of look at the student. So the biggest thing for us is kind of a twofold of we want to see your creativity and your storytelling skills, but we also want to see that, we see that maturity level of you coming into college, that you follow directions. I harp on that a lot. So, making sure that we're you're going to be able to kind of move on, and just, make yourself stand out as best you can. And it's kind of tough sometimes, but I think, the biggest thing is just try to represent yourself the best way you can, and really think outside of the box. So within our parameters, really trying to take a creative idea. So for us, probably about half the videos that we get are, here's my room, and here's what awards that I've won, and I'm falling asleep. So, it's taking that idea, and I think that's what we're doing, and really kind of transforming it so it's something different than, what we're seeing all the time. And then we're also going to look at, your academic side, your writing skills, and your resume to see what your experience is as well. So it's kind of a well-rounded view that we like to take into account.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's 6 components to our application process. I'll just go through them and I'll come back and talk a little bit about each. Personal statement, which consists of 3 pages, double-spaced. A critical essay on a film or a television program of your choice. A sample of original creative work. It can be writing, it can be visual art, it can be a short film or video. Of course, transcripts. Fact sheet and 2 letters of recommendation. Now, just want to come back and talk a little bit about the personal statement, the critical essay, and the sample creative work. These are the things I think people need to use to distinguish themselves from others. I don't know how many people have said to me, students have said to me as I'm walking out of class and they're prepared for the admissions process, you just gotta let me into your major. This is the only dream I've had since I was a child. And my response, not to them is, but to myself, I've learned a long time ago not to say everything that comes into my head out loud. Who told you you only can have one dream? The point here is that we want a personal statement from you that is not focused on yourself and myopic in that way. We want to have some idea of how you think the media interfaces with society, how it affects people, and how you want to be part of that process. We want to get an idea that you're thinking about the media and its vital role to society. You just show us you're thinking about that. And that dovetails quite nicely into the critical essay about the television show. We don't expect you to be a critic of television or the media in the essay, but we'd like to have some idea that you have an interest in the media and you've been pursuing it for some time. For example, it would be interesting for you to contrast the differences between, let's say, the George Powell 54 War of the Worlds and the recent Steven Spielberg War of the Worlds. What are the differences here? And why is each film so uniquely part of its time? Again, give us some thought that you're thinking about motion pictures and television a little bit more carefully. And then as far as the creative work is concerned, you can submit writing samples, drawings, design work, anything that establishes you as someone who has an interest and a drive to be creative, or a short film or video. Again, we're trying to create a package here that reflects the different facets of the individual so we can get a better picture of you than just using one mode of assessment.
Great, thank you. Let's go to UCLA. So what are you looking at?
Some of the things that we're interested in are actually very, very similar. In fact, our supplemental application is almost identical in what it sounds like to theirs. But I would say our emphasis is really on the ability to be a strong storyteller. The sort of philosophy behind our program is that a lot of the other components of filmmaking can be taught, but we can't teach you how to be a storyteller. And I understand that that's actually a big part of your curriculum here, which is great. But so that's really what we're looking for. We don't ask that you submit any DVDs or anything like that. You are welcome to, but we cannot guarantee that they will get watched. Your writing samples are critical. Your personal statement, please feel free to be as creative as you like to be. No topic is taboo or off limits, nor is language. After a while, you really want to be humored, so feel free to be funny or comical in your personal statement. The letters of recommendation are also really important. So even if you have an issue with, say, the recommender is somebody you haven't spoken to in a while or you haven't seen for some time, in the back of your mind, you just want the best letter, whoever can write that for you. So if it's, somebody you went to summer camp with and they were your camp counselor, or if it's an instructor that you had here, just make sure that it's the best letter that is really going to show your relationship with them, your diversity and dynamism as a student, and your personal character.
Hey, thank you. USC.
Storytelling is a common theme amongst all of us, I believe, and we use it a lot with students. Our programs are a little different. There are 5 different programs, there's 5 different supplemental requirements for the different programs. The thing they all have in common is a personal statement, and that's very, very important to us. Your application is going to be reviewed by faculty from each program, so if you're going into film and television, or film and television production, the faculty from the program are going to review it. When you write your personal statement, we're not looking for as you said, I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. Ever since I was 3, I watched these movies, da-da-da-da-da. We get those, and this faculty has been around for a long time. They see those, they get bored. If you can't get them in the first paragraph, you're not going to get it. So you need to hook them. You're telling a story. Tell me a story about you. I want to know who you are. The best tip I give students about these is somehow you have to move the faculty emotionally. They want to be moved. One of the best essays I've ever seen, personal statement, is a story a young man wrote about the first movie he ever saw with his grandfather. It was the first movie he saw. His grandfather took him to see the show, and 3 weeks later his grandfather died. It was a memory that he'll always have. He didn't realize what an impact that movie would have on his life. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Faculty were in tears over it. That's what you want. That's how they're going to remember you. If you move them, they're going to remember you. They're reading hundreds of applications, and we read everything that's submitted to us. I don't care what your GPA is, what your SAT score is. If it comes to our school, my word, the dean's word is it will get read. With that said, you have to move them, okay? The other thing that we do for the film and television production, I'm just speaking to that program, we do have a visual sample. You can either do 5 still photos or a 5-minute video. Both have to tell a story. I personally don't like the video because I think it's unfair. Some students have a lot of money and go out and produce this wonderful video that tells a story, and then other people try and they don't. It's a little unfair. I like the visual samples. You get 5 pictures to tell a story. You write a narrative. If you can frame the shots right and shoot it right, 1, we can tell you have an eye. 2, we can tell you have a story. The narrative, you're writing. We can tell what you're about. The other thing to look for in your application, and this is really important, we want to bring in the whole student. We're not looking for grades, we're not just looking for creativity, we're looking for a picture. We want your world included in your application. So what else do you do? Do you volunteer somewhere? Do you play sports? Do you do budget, all of that stuff plays into who you are and what you bring to the program. All of our programs look to build cohorts. If you're not familiar with that, it's a group of students that come together and you learn from each other. So when they're bringing you together and we're admitting a class, we may not admit a student who's really super creative because he doesn't fit in with the rest of the group. He may not bring anything extra. So all that extra stuff you're doing, the extracurricular stuff, you just like to read a lot. You read novels. Put it in what we call our portfolio, which is our resume. Your resume items. List all those things down because we're looking at all of that stuff to see who you are as a person and what you're going to bring to the rest of the group.
Appreciate that point. I wanted to kind of ask other panelists, in terms of your application process, how much are you looking at other non-film related things that an applicant is bringing to the table? If they've done, let's say, a lot of community service work or have another passion or interest, how important is that in them getting into your particular programs?
Yeah, well, I was going to that was a good point, because that's something I always advise students as well, is don't feel like you have to make your whole application about film, or whatever major you're going into, because you're applying to our film school, so we know you love film. So yeah, it's really taking advantage of showing off you, and we're that way too. It's that holistic view of the student. So, in order to be a good storyteller, you have to have other experiences outside of just making the films. So whether that's you play sports or you play a musical instrument, we have a resume component as well, and that's something that I really like to look at is, seeing that they have kind of other interests and they've done other things. So I think that's definitely something that's going to help you stand out, because everyone there loves what they're applying for, but if you can have those different components, it's definitely something important for us. So, obviously it's that talent side too, and we're not looking for people that have killed themselves and done 10 million things, because obviously, especially for you guys that have been doing a heavily intensive film program in high school, that's taken up a lot of your time, and we understand that too. But I think it's just not being afraid to represent yourself, however that is, because the more personal you make the application, the better it's going to be, and we're going to see that come out. So our first essay is a little bit more, we have a more prompt for it. So this year it's a Lifetime Achievement Award speech that we ask you to write, which is kind of fun. So it's looking 50 years in the future, you're getting a Lifetime Achievement Award and writing your acceptance speech. And so I think that is, not only I think it's fun, I'm really excited to read them, but I think it's also a great chance for you to show your personality and to show us why you're such an amazing candidate. And like I said before, not be afraid to go out of the box and be funny and put stuff in there, because that is going to make all the difference. Because, otherwise, you turn into another one of those, I've loved film forever and it's all I want to do. And, you need to set yourself apart from that. So I think any chance you can find in an application to do that, run with it, because you're creative and that's what we want to see. And that's kind of the fun part of being in a